is a personal favorite. Let's do it. The Conjuring opens up in 1968, and Ed and Lorraine Warren are paranormal investigators, and they are investigating the case of this doll called Annabelle. So these two roommates came into possession of this doll, and they believe that she is possessed, and specifically possessed by the spirit of a 7-year-old girl named Annabelle Higgins. And because they felt bad for this little girl, they gave her permission to live inside the doll. So Ed and Lorraine explained to them that this doll was never possessed by a little girl. It was possessed by a demon who was using it as a conduit to get inside of you guys, like it was trying to possess you. So they take the doll and they take it back to their home, where they leave it in their artifact room, which is full of all of these other haunted items that they've collected over the years. So then we fast forward to 1971 to Harrisville, Rhode Island, and we meet the Perron family. So we have the mother and father, who are Carolyn and Roger, and they have 5 daughters: Andrea, Nancy, April, Cindy, and Christine. So they're moving into this new farmhouse, and immediately their dog Sadie starts acting weird, refuses to go in the house, and weird supernatural shit starts happening immediately. They find this boarded up cellar, all the clocks stop at 3:07 a.m. Sadie, the family dog, is found dead in the yard, I'm sorry, and Carolyn starts waking up with these bruises all over her body. This all comes to a head when one night Carolyn gets trapped in the cellar, and these hands show up behind her in the darkness and clap next to her. And at the same time, Andrea sees this figure of this old hag of a woman on top of her dresser who attacks her. And eventually Carolyn decides that she has no other choice, and she contacts the Warrens at this presentation that they're giving. So the Warrens agree to go check it out, despite the fact that it seems like something happened to Lorraine recently, where she's not supposed to be doing these investigations anymore. Ed doesn't want her to. And immediately upon arriving, Lorraine sees a dark presence that has latched itself onto the family. And they tell Carolyn and Roger, like, this thing has latched itself to your family and it is feeding off of you, and moving is not going to help. So the Warrens decide they're going to bring in a crew so that they can gather evidence of this haunting, so that they can get approval by the Catholic Church to do an exorcism. So their assistant Drew and this police officer Brad show up, and they put bells and cameras everywhere and kind of rig the house to pick up any supernatural activity. Now, at this point, the Warrens have done some investigating into the history of the house, and they discovered that it used to belong to a woman named Bathsheba Sherman, who was accused of being a witch. And according to records, she had a baby with her husband, and she proceeded to take that baby and sacrifice it, declaring her love to Satan, and then hanged herself from a tree in the backyard. And she cursed all those who tried to take her land, and her time of death was 3:07 a.m., which is the time the clocks stop every night. And since then, there's been numerous deaths from people who've lived on the property. During the investigation in the house, Lorraine puts together what this spirit of Bathsheba is doing and what she has done to countless other people before. And it's that she possesses the mother to kill their children. So the reason that Carolyn is waking up with all these bruises is because Bathsheba is taking over. She's possessing her. So they get enough evidence of supernatural shit in the house, and they bring it to their priest, who says he's going to bring it to the Vatican for approval. Meanwhile, Ed and Lorraine have a daughter named Judy, and Lorraine has this vision of Judy dead. And sure enough, that night, Judy is attacked by the spirit of Bathsheba and Annabelle, who is sitting in her lap in their own house. And Lorraine knows that this is a warning from Bathsheba to stay the fuck out of it. So the parents at this point have left the house and they've gone to stay in a motel. But that night, Carolyn, now full possessed, takes Christine and April and drives them back to the house. So Roger tells Ed that they left, and they know that she's going back to the house. So Ed, Lorraine, and crew all rush to the house to go find her. And when they walk in, they see Carolyn trying to kill Christine and April. But when they try to drag Carolyn out of the house, she starts burning as if the house just has a hold on her, and Bathsheba will not let her go. So at this point, they tie Carolyn to a chair in the basement and tell Ed he needs to do the exorcism. They can't wait for the approval from the church, because if they do, Carolyn is going to die. So Ed attempts to do this exorcism. It's absolute fucking chaos. And suddenly the chair that Carolyn is tied to inverts and attaches itself to the ceiling, and then drops and breaks, and she escapes. So Carolyn escapes and manages to chase down April and goes to kill her. But before she's able to do so, Lorraine stops her and brings up this happy memory of her family and manages to make Carolyn come back to herself for a second, which allows Ed to complete the exorcism, and it works. Carolyn comes back, Bathsheba is vanquished. Carolyn reunites with her family, she apologizes to her daughters, and in the final scene we see Ed taking this music box, which belonged to April because she found it, and it belonged to a boy that previously lived there and was murdered by his mother. So Ed takes it and places it in their artifact room amongst all the other haunted items, including Annabelle.